Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our admins. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? So I have always been an Instagram model and I'm from Kenya. I have always lived a life that many they do envy, a glamorous life, always traveling, wearing designer clothes because I was working as a brand ambassador and a bank account that most people would only dream of. But behind the filters and the followers, there is a reality that no one sees, a dark side of life that I have chosen that nearly cost my life and everything. So we girls that are here on social media, the ones that you call slay queens, for us to be able to live the life that you can see, it is because of some rich blessers that keep on blessing us with their never-ending wealth. So it was like a typical day when I received a message, but this message, it was from a new man. I had been to Dubai like countless times. So there was one man who claimed to be a wealthy businessman who was from Dubai. When I went over his profile, and I also handed over the profile to some of my friends so that they can see if this was a scammer or not, we looked at his profile and it looked as if it was legitimate. Photos of yachts, private jets and luxury cars. He told me that he was going to Nairobi for a business trip and wanted to book me for one night. Fine, that was fine with me. The offer was more than generous. He told me that he wanted to give me $50,000 and this was just for dinner and for some company. And he said that I was supposed to bring my friends to help me to chop his money. Anyway, this was not even something that we had not yet done before. I have had similar offers, but most of these offers, when we would check, some of them, they were for real and some of them, they were scammers. And whilst I knew all of these risks, I didn't think much of it. The money was too good like to pass up, and I totally agreed. He then arranged everything, first class flights, a 5-star hotel suite, and even a private chauffeur. When I arrived at the hotel, I was greeted with the kind of luxury that I had become accustomed to. The man who introduced himself as name Eden was charming and polite. He took me to a very exclusive restaurant which we dined on the finest cuisine, and everything seemed normal and we just enjoyed. We were really enjoyed. It was me and my friends. Later on, he then told me that I was supposed to dismiss my friends, and my friends, they were given a lot of money by that same driver who drove them back to our apartment. After dinner, that was when he suggested that we go back to his mansion on the outskirts of Nairobi. He said he wanted to show me like some of his art collection. Anyway, I just said boring stuff in my heart. All that I wanted was his money, and again, I didn't even think of it. We drove out of the city and soon we were pulling up to a massive secluded estate. The gates opened automatically, and as we drove in, I felt a slight unease, like there was something in my spirit that told me to pray, but I pushed it aside. I said, anyway, this thing that I am doing right now is adultery. So can you say, God, please bless me. I am going to be sleeping with a man who is married. I said, no, I can't pray tonight. I'll pray tomorrow after the deed. Then I'll say, please God, forgive me for what I did last night. I cannot pray and say, please God, forgive me, because I am about to do something that is not good. When we entered into the mansion was really beautiful, high ceilings, marble floors, and the artwork, it looked like it was in a museum. And he led me through the house, showing me the paintings, the sculptures, and I started to relax, thinking that this was just another rich man showing off his wealth to me. But then things took a turn. As we walked deeper into the mansion, the atmosphere changed. The air felt like really heavy, and I noticed strange symbols that were carved into the walls, symbols that I could not even recognize, but they made me to feel really comfortable. I felt like I was really nervous, but they made me to feel really uneasy. It then led me into a large room at the back of the house. That was when I saw it. Brother Nashi. It was a large bed that was surrounded by candles with more of those strange symbols drawn all over the floor. My heart began to race, and this man, all of a sudden, he then changed. He was someone that had been loving, romantic all along, but now he became cold and almost robotic. He told me to lie down on the bed, and when I hesitated, his eyes, they were darkened as if he was a demon. He said something in a language that I could not understand, and suddenly 2 large men appeared from the shadows. They grabbed me, forcing me onto the bed, and then it surged through me as I realized that this wasn't about the money or pleasure. There was something far more sinister that was about to take place. He began to chant in a very strange language, and I felt an overwhelming sense. He took a knife that had a jagged blade, and he wanted to stab me. He moved it towards my stomach. That was when I knew that I was not going to make it out of there alive. This man, he was just a cult member, and he wanted to steal my womb to use me in some kind of a ritual. I struggled, screamed, but the men kept on holding me down like they were really strong, and I was really terrified, and I told myself that I was not going to die. It was like there was something inside of me that snapped. I gathered all the strength that I had, and I kicked one of the men between his legs. He stumbled back, loosening his grip just enough time for me to break free. I rolled off the bed and I ran towards the door. This man, he was running faster, but he was like obese. He blocked my way. But my brother, I then dashed through the holes, my heart pounding in my ears, trying to find a way out. This house, it was as if it was a maze, and I could hear him and his men behind me, their footsteps echoing off the walls. I turned corner after corner, searching for an exit. Finally, I found a back door. When he was about to run up to me, that was when I called the police, and he had me speaking with the police, and then they let me go. I ran into the garden, but they kept on looking for me. The garden was massive, but I didn't have time to appreciate it. I ran through the darkness, heading for the fence at the far end. I could still hear them. My legs were burning. I was bleeding from the cut on my shoulder. I didn't stop. I reached the fence, an electric fence. The moment that I touched it, that was when I had the security, and then the security came, and I was scared, Brother Nashi. Then I just touched, even though it was an electric fence, I gathered my strength. The electric fence hit me really hard, but I jumped and I was on the other side. There was a dense forest. I ran into the trees, the branches scratching at my skin, but I kept on going deeper and deeper into the woods until I could not hear them anymore. I didn't stop until I found a road where I flagged down a passing car. The driver, an older woman, took one look at me and knew that there was something that was wrong. She drove me to the nearest police station where I told them everything. And we then went to that mansion. By the time that we arrived back at the mansion, this man, he claimed that, yes, he had hired me and he was guilty of the crime of hiring a prostitute, but I had tried to steal some items from him. I was then arrested for prostituting myself. This is my confession. I was lured by greed, but it nearly cost my life. Oh, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admin. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.